Hey everyone, William Scott here. What you're about to hear sounds like a movie, but it's written like a case file. So do me a quick favor, subscribe and share this video right now because stories like this get buried fast. And the more people watching, the harder it is for the truth to disappear. And please don't click away. The first 15 minutes of this timeline are where everything collapses. 4:51 a.m., St. Louis Park, Minnesota. The city is frozen under winter ice, dark windows, empty streets, not a sound. To the 50,000 residents asleep behind sealed doors, it's just another peaceful morning in a well-run suburb. But inside a nearby federal command room, a giant digital map flashes red like a heartbeat. Critical points glow across the grid. The threat is live. For months, FBI and DEA teams have been tracking a pattern that didn't make sense at first. Crime connected to an underground network buried inside the Somali community was rising everywhere at once. Hospitals, police reports, social service offices. Analysts layered the data, and suddenly it wasn't numbers. It was a warning siren. Overdose deaths up 328%, armed violence up 257%, and human trafficking networks multiplying. Then came the money trail. Investigators confirmed $2.3 billion in welfare funds had been siphoned through front-facing community nonprofits. The fear inside the room, the real total could be closer to $7 billion, forged identities, exploited loopholes, benefits collected effortlessly, and money quietly transferred overseas. This wasn't random fraud. This was a system running inside the system. Agents stared at the wall where every line converged on one name, a single point at the center of the map, Asha Mohammed Noor, 44 years old, the mayor of St. Louis Park. On camera, Mayor Noor looked like a success story. She was treated as proof that integration works, polished speeches, constant media presence, and photo ops beside police leadership promising tough action against crime. Her approval rating sat above 68%. The public saw stability. They saw order. But inside federal intelligence, the picture was the opposite. If the data was accurate, the mayor wasn't defending the city, she was weaponizing it. The investigators' fear wasn't that crime existed, it was that the crime had protection, and the protection had a title, an office, and authority. And that's what makes this case so dangerous. When corruption wears a suit and carries a badge of legitimacy, it doesn't need to hide in alleys. It hides in paperwork, budgets, approvals, and routine decisions no one questions. So I'm going to say this clearly because it matters. This story isn't framed as an immigration debate. It's framed as an infiltration, an organized structure embedded deep enough that normal oversight couldn't see it. If you support the agents who risk their lives going after networks like this, hit like and comment "Go FBI" below. Seriously. It tells the algorithm to push the video, and it tells the people fighting this stuff that the public is paying attention. Because behind closed doors, investigators believed Mayor Noor was building a parallel system that looked like government, but answered only to her. By the end of 2023, federal teams believed Mayor Noor had begun constructing a shadow structure, something that mirrored the city's legal framework while quietly bypassing oversight. Using executive authority, directives were approved in ways that avoided normal scrutiny. The result? 29 shell companies registered as logistics firms, sanitation contractors, and consulting groups. On paper, everything looked normal. In reality, investigators found no legitimate staff, no real operations, just corporate skins designed to move people and money without raising alarms. Through these entities, 1,150 individuals with criminal records were allegedly placed into the community using forged documentation. And this is where the case turns from corruption into deployment. These weren't people integrating into a new life. According to investigators, they were being positioned like assets. Between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., surveillance logs recorded 192 vehicle departures from targeted residential zones night after night. No plates, no routine stops, and the city cameras. They went dark for exactly 11 minutes each time, like someone flipped a switch on schedule. This wasn't crime happening. This was traffic being managed. visibility being controlled, and enforcement being neutralized. Then the federal teams uncovered the part that stunned even seasoned agents. The network wasn't operating alone. They believed the mayor had aligned with CJNG, one of the most violent cartels in the Western Hemisphere, protection in exchange for profit. The alleged deal was brutally simple: silence for cash. Over 24 months, the network moved 4.4 tons of fentanyl and heroin, black market value estimated at $440 million, and it was all staged for a late winter surge. Oversight mechanisms were disabled. Street level enforcement got blinded. Investigators stopped treating it like a local problem and started treating it like a hostile structure operating inside American systems faster than surveillance could keep up. Then at 5:57 a.m., everything changes. Surveillance ends. Enforcement begins. A command order cracks over radios. 1,075 federal agents mobilize in a coordinated strike. FBI, DEA, Homeland Security moving in lockstep. Road sealed, armored convoys roll from staging points near Interstate 92. Helicopters lift into the icy sky. Operational data floods in. 26 locations confirmed as high-risk warehouses, apartments, covert offices. LiveIntel identifies 129 violent offenders already in position. At 5:59 a.m., cameras capture someone exiting the rear of the mayor's building holding a secured data storage device, like the network is trying to run before the doors get kicked in. And now the timeline becomes unreal, because what happened next wasn't a single raid. It was a synchronized collapse across multiple states. Between 6:01 a.m. and 6:15 a.m., the network is hit at 41 points across 5 states. In Wisconsin, the first breach sets the tone. Agents neutralize Abdi Rahman, described as a veteran enforcer coordinating night convoys. He attempts to trigger a data wipe protocol while firing from a stairwell. He's taken down by 6:04. Nevada teams move on a front operation. Hassan Ledger-Me, identified as a primary money handler, tries to escape carrying encrypted ledgers. He's captured after a 312-second foot chase. Inside the building, 4.2 million cash and 19 burner phones. Then northern Minnesota escalates hard. At a rural compound outside Baiji, federal teams face fortified resistance. 3 armed sentries open fire from elevated positions. After a 7-minute engagement, the perimeter is breached. Inside, 512 pounds of synthetic narcotics, 5 industrial pill presses, and packaging material sufficient for 11 million doses. And if you're wondering why fentanyl is so terrifying, it can kill with microscopic amounts. That's why this isn't just drugs. It's mass casualty potential. Analysts later confirmed the seized product was scheduled for distribution across 14 metropolitan areas within 10 days. If you want more breakdowns like this and updates on cases like it, subscribe right now, because the next part explains how the money trail detonated nationwide. By 6:12 a.m., command data shows the scale. $1,380 suspects detained nationwide, 4.4 tons of narcotics seized, and $46.8 million in cash frozen. But the final blow lands quietly. At 6:15 a.m., agents intercept Amina Sullivan, the mayor's chief administrative fixer, attempting to exit a secured building with a hard drive containing approval chains. That arrest ties the structure directly back to the mayor's office, connecting the street network to executive authority. By 8:12 a.m., Washington, D.C. is in emergency mode. This isn't a local takedown anymore. It's treated like a national security breach. Within 6 hours, federal auditors suspend funding to 312 nonprofits linked to the Minnesota structure. By noon, that number grows beyond 470. On paper, they serve the public. Investigators believe they served as financial tunnels. The confirmed exposure, $2.3 billion diverted, the feared exposure, up to $7 billion, one of the largest domestic financial abuses in U.S. history. But the truly alarming part? Pattern matching. By early afternoon, analysts flagged 17 additional cities showing identical warning markers. Same funding structures, same nonprofit shells, same administrative fingerprints. Minnesota wasn't the origin, it was the proof of concept. At 6:41 p.m., technicians access recovered server metadata and find links pointing outward. multiple states, multiple timelines. The threat isn't outside the system, it's inside it. The next morning, the Attorney General authorizes a federal integrity task force with one mandate: identify internal enablers, no matter the rank. Within 72 hours, analysts match approval signatures across 11 states. Records show 29 public officials allegedly bribed to delay audits or reroute inspections. Another 46 flagged for willful negligence. One arrest happens quietly. A former federal prosecutor once praised for integrity. Evidence suggests he blocked at least 14 grand jury subpoenas, delaying oversight long enough for nearly $600 million to vanish overseas. Treasury enforcement then delivers the financial knockout: $9.6 billion in assets frozen across domestic and international accounts. Shell companies collapse overnight. The cash flow doesn't slow, it stops. And here's the lesson that hits hardest: the network didn't fear law enforcement, it feared attention. It survived because thousands of routine actions went unquestioned for years. Health agencies linked the fentanyl distribution to over 6,400 overdose deaths across multiple states. Families buried loved ones while the paperwork stayed clean. A retired agent summarizes it best: democracy doesn't fail loudly, it fails quietly when no one is watching. St. Louis Park is quiet again, but something has awakened: a recognition that freedom isn't protected by promises, it's protected by oversight. If you made it to the end, thank you. Seriously. Now do two things: subscribe and share this, because attention is the one thing networks like this can't buy forever. And I want to hear from you. If corrupt officials betray their communities, should they face the maximum penalty? Comment justice below, stay vigilant, and don't look away.